Tanganda is a tea. We drink Tanganda tea and Pro Brand's Life Milk, lactose free. You know, I drink lactose free because I'm lactose intolerant. So I love this Life lactose intolerant milk. Felicitas, how you doing? So you know, my daily routine: Tanganda tea, lactose free. You know, get that Life lactose free. Black people should be having milk, people. Shouldn't be having milk. So get that lactose free. Cheer and Dave, my sister. Sydney, what up? Andrew Mark, how you doing, brother? Return of the Goblin. It's tea time. Just milk and lactose free milk and tea. No sugar. Chef Bay says I'm not allowed sugar. Yeah, I don't have jails here. What up, people? What up, peeps? What up, people? Can you believe it? Can you believe it? The Goblin. The Goblin is back. We got some people watching. Yeah, Yumrora's around. She's around somewhere. King Chris, how you doing? Ron, what up? Simba, Nape, what happening to everybody? How's everybody doing? It's been a while. I've taken about 3 weeks out of doing since the last tea time, I think. You know, there's reasons for that. You know, times, take some time out. Zimbabwean politics is boring, right? I mean, we can only talk about bullet trains and Chamisa so many times. See, not many things are happening. But yesterday, something happened. Something happened yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. Goblins don't die. We exercise goblins in the name of Jesus in General Chiwengwa. We don't like goblins. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what's up? 69 people watching. Let's go straight in. I woke up this morning. My activist friends with their self-righteous indignation are all over the place. You see, the whole question of cool, not cool is still burning apparently in people's eyes. Apparently. We all watched the interview yesterday with Robert Mugabe. So I'm trying to make sure that some of y'all who may not know what happened yesterday can understand. The foreign media that the Goblin had himself banned for many, many years and did not see fit to be allowed into the country. Hey, what up, Bills? Sorry, let me just talk to my people real quick. So the foreign press that the Goblin had not allowed in the country for so many years graced us with their presence and went to the blue roofs. Some of those foreign presses are the first people in the blue roofs. Some of us have never seen the blue roofs. As you know, many of us have not even seen. We saw it. If I went on the Australian news channel and the first time ever, I saw the grounds, the opulent, beautiful grounds of the blue roofs. And this foreign media was allowed in to talk to Robert Mugabe, our celestial overlord, the being that has robbed us and rigged us of our lives. And these journalists came in and spoke to Mugabe and gave him a platform to talk about this cool, not cool nonsense. First of all, I found it ironic that these foreign journalists were allowed in to go talk to Mugabe. I found that kind of crazy. Considering that these foreign journalists have never been allowed into the blue roofs before, I found it crazy that they would come up and try and help this old idiot geriatric have a voice on international media, the same international media that he did not allow them to put out before. Secondly, I found ironic that ZBC didn't carry the story, considering that the Goblin used to, the Goblin must be thinking to himself, shit, I should have allowed an independent press, because now at least ZBC could report accurately. So, ladies and gentlemen, what's my take on this? See, so I don't stop talking about what happened yesterday. So I'll tell you, what's my take on all this cool, not cool nonsense? Well, I can tell you one thing. If those foreign journalists had managed to come out and ask the people of Zimbabwe what they actually think. And I'm talking about the people of Zimbabwe, not these activists, these self-righteous, indignant activists who all of a sudden, after marching hand in hand with the rest of us, start to see some fucking sense of morality and start talking constitutionalism. You see, these hypocrites to me sound funny right now. They sound funny. It sort of starts to feel like their Mugabe must go money, they're missing their Mugabe must go money right now. It starts to kind of feel like that. So let me break down this argument of constitutionalism that some of my comrades continue to perpetuate and scream at the top of their lungs. The army rolled into the streets. They said their justification was trying to deal with the G40 cabal that had surrounded themselves around the president. Okay? Right. So they try and surround themselves. Socks, ZBC wasn't there. They reported as freed, but they personally were not there. Okay. So, was it constitutional for Mugabe, for the army to roll onto the streets of Harare with tanks? Right? Was that a constitutional thing? No, that was not a constitutional thing, because the only person who can order them onto the streets was the commander-in-chief of the time, and at the time was Robert Mugabe. So, what happened to the general who rolled the army on the street? Well, he resigned. So I don't know what else we want to do, but the guy who ordered the army on the street, he resigned. However, after getting on the streets, the army allowed Mugabe to do all his presidential duties, including go to universities and capping students and so on and so forth. They didn't put him under arrest per se. They just pretty much just dealt with the criminal cabal around him. Now, this is what the army is saying. Remember, I'm paraphrasing in their words. Mugabe himself is saying that he, in a speech to us in front of millions and millions of people, remember all watching the Asante Sana speech, he said, I understand why they had to come out on the street, and I understand the problems. And so it wasn't right they came on the street, but I understand and I forgive them, and they're treating me well. I want us to go back to that particular speech. Go and watch Mugabe at that particular time and see what he said. He said that they were treating him well, and that we understood why they came on the streets, and that he was going to preside over Congress and give everybody a fair shake. Because this was now an inter-party battle. You see, this was a battle between a party. It had nothing to do with us as people. Let's move forward a little bit. After Mugabe said Asante Sana and broke all our hearts, I remember I cried tears because I thought the nigga was going to resign. I cried tears. The Zimbabwean parliament, elected by the people of Zimbabwe, they went into a gear where they said they were now going to impeach the president. And here we go. We almost had a unanimous parliament, and all of them were agreeing that they are going to impeach the president. See, because we've already marched and said we are happy that Mugabe is going. Okay? But remember, even when we marched, he was still the president. Our parliaments then decide that we are now going to go and impeach this guy and get him out of office because he's refusing to resign. Mugabe was refusing to sign the papers. And only when that coward heard that the parliament was now going to impeach him. And trust you, ladies and gentlemen, MDC, MDCT, MDCN, the independents, and ZANU-PF were all very resolute on one thing. They were going to impeach Mugabe that particular day. That Tuesday, we were all sitting there. Everyone was at parliament. Remember, Pastor E and the teams were all there. They were going to impeach the president. Without a doubt, he was gone. So then the coward wrote a resignation letter and resigned from the presidential office. Now, the reason why I'm giving you this context is this. As some of my comrades are out there crying, screaming constitutionalism, they seem to forget the fact that constitutionally speaking, the man resigned. And constitutionally speaking, the parliament was going to impeach him anyways. See, some of my comrades are now taking up the fight and trying to go back to court to try and fight for the rights of the constitutional rights of Robert Mugabe. They forget that Robert Mugabe was presiding over some of the worst constitutional breakages of people's rights in 38 years. They forget that. They forget the kind of things that he did to them. They forget the kind of things that he did to them. They forget the kind of things that he did to their families, to our families. See, because I remember vividly what those pricks did to me. I remember it vividly. See, because those are the kind of things that keep you up at night. You see, when I wake up in a cold sweat, when I wake up upset, when I wake up with having nightmares, I remember vividly the things that those guys did to me. And it's all these other guys who nothing happened to. See, it's kind of weird to me. They must miss the Mugabe must go money when they try and fight for the constitutional rights of Robert Mugabe. When I remember vividly the things that they did to me. And one day I'll post the pictures. I think I have once before, and I think I may have taken it down. They forget what those guys did to people like me, and why my daughters had to see me like that. They forget why I'm so angry, why I get so upset. They forget that, so they fight for the constitutional rights of a monster. That shit makes me mad. It makes me fucking mad. Anyway, go on their page and tell them that we see them, that they fight for the rights of this old octogenarian guy. You know, with all my sadness, I still have a little smile on my face. I tell you why. Because I can imagine what Grace Mugabe has to do right now. See, Grace Mugabe now she now has to do what other wives have to do when they choose to be with old ass niggas. See, I despite what they did to me, despite what they did to my comrades in the country and everybody else, I at least smile knowing that Grace Mugabe now has to sit down and change his nappies. That gives me some joy. That the secretary now has to change the nappies and drain the catheter of the husband she chose, because she thought she was going to be in power forever. See, that witch actually planned to be our president by now. See, she was maneuvering herself to be vice president. So what gives me some joy? What gives me some joy is that the people who took her out are currently enjoying power, and now she has to deal with the catheter and the colostomy bag of her decrepit, stinky old man. See, if that's not a reason to celebrate, then I don't know what the fuck is. You see, these activists must tell us one thing. What were they going to do? Were they going to hold up placards for the rest of their lives? Were we going to do videos forever to say Mugabe must go? Was that the way that Mugabe was actually going to go? Was that the way he was going to go? Were we going to sit in parks forever and say Mugabe must go, and he was going to then say, oh, fuck, yeah, shit. Well, because this guy said I should go with his fake doctorate, I should go. Are they mad? See, these quasi-intellectuals, they don't know how to be thankful. See, I'm thankful. I'm thankful that the army stepped in when they did. Right or wrong, I'm thankful that they did. You know, I'm thankful that right now I am. You know, that she says, do you agree with the coup? To be honest, I don't give a fuck. How's that for an answer? You see, how was it a coup when he resigned? How was it a coup when he was about to get impeached? What the fuck do you guys want? What the fuck do you want? What the fuck do you guys actually want? And you want the guy gone? He's gone. The army came in. They didn't even arrest him. They just terrorized the people around him. Then after terrorizing the people around him, the parliament, our elected parliament, then wanted to impeach the guy. I mean, it was just going to take us a bit longer, but he was going. It didn't matter what was going to happen. And I'm telling you this much: if the military hadn't, if the military had then said, okay, the parliament has impeached him, and Mugabe still refused to go, we the people, we Susuracho, we're going to now say, okay, since the army has failed this and the parliament has failed this, now we're going to burn the motherfucker down. You see, I'm grateful there was no bloodshed. See, I don't shed no tears for the police. I don't shed no tears for the CIOs. I don't shed any tears for those. Because I remember vividly the things those guys did. The things they did to me. The things they did to my comrades. The things they did to my country folk. The things they did to my mama. My mama who's 37 years old, 67 years old and has no pension. And has to wake up every day and work with the rest of us. I remember vividly what those guys did. So the next question is, are we happy with Chirengwa being vice president? Are we happy with the militarization of our government? Are we happy? Are we happy with that? My answer, on a personal level, no, I'm not. There are things that I personally am happy with. I'll tell you an example. I'll give you an example. I'm happy that I can now drive my Honda Fit and not be harassed by police every single day. You see, because even a broken clock is right twice a day, right? So we can at least appreciate certain things. There are certain things that are happening now that we can at least appreciate. I can now drive around and my car is not getting harassed by police every single day. Right? I can appreciate that. Okay? I can appreciate now that we have a president who was part of the old dispensation. 37 years he was part of the dispensation. Who at least is allowing us to go for an election in the next 2 or 3 months. And we have an opportunity as the people of Zimbabwe to use our democratic right. And he has promised that the international observers, you know, the usual things people cry for, we want UN, we want this. So, and I know, because I've been a part of the training as an observer and so forth. I can tell you that a lot of people are being allowed to come in and watch this next process. So at least I'm happy that that process is going ahead. I'm happy that I am personally every day on the streets of Harare campaigning actively for a candidate who's running against ZANU-PF. And I'm not being harassed by police. We're in our yellow t-shirts, we're handing out flyers, we're talking to people, we're doing door-to-doors. And I'm happy that at least we're able to function as an opposition candidate without harassment. I'm happy that my comrades are not in and out of court every single day. And we're not having to go to court back and forth every single day. I'm happy about that. I'm happy that Nelson Chamisa is now in charge of the MDC. It's given it a new lease of life. People are feeling good. People are feeling happy. The MDC feels rejuvenized. And that's what Zimbabwe needs. It needs an energetic, rejuvenized opposition to go up against MDC, to go up against ZANU-PF. I'm happy that Nelson Chamisa was at the hospitals yesterday talking to doctors. He's reaching out. He's trying to be a visionary. He's talking bullet trains. He's talking things that may seem mystical to everybody. They may seem like he's lying. But at least he's fucking dreaming. He's bigger. I'm actually happy with the new head of ZEC. I'm happy that Rita Makarao is gone. First of all, Rita Makarao is ugly as shit. I really like this new one. She looks like, she could get it. Secondly, she sounds like she knows what the fuck she's doing. They're trying their damnedest to be legal about the process of ZEC. So I'm happy about that. So, what should all these activists be doing? What should we all be fighting for right now? Well, we should be doubling down on the candidates we want. We should be out there fighting for the vote of the people. That's what we should be doing. We should be out there fighting to get the vote of the people so that we can get rid of the junta. That's what we should be doing. Oh, this bullshit self-righteous indignation online is causing us horrible setbacks. Because people we're fucking confusing the situation. Why are we in court trying to bring back Mugabe? Why are we in court trying to do this? And why are we here bitching and moaning and bitching and moaning? And, oh, I told you so. I told you so. Ah, fuck you, I told you so. These niggas should learn to brutally quietly, as far as I'm concerned. I'm actually happy, ladies and gentlemen. It's okay to say this. I'm actually happy that I am seeing the current president of Zimbabwe, legitimate or not, every week coming onto Facebook and saying something directly to us without the guises of newspaper and spin. I'm happy that he's reading some of our questions at least and coming to us. You see, we may not call it a new dispensation, but definitely a lot of new things are happening. A lot of new things are happening. It's okay to say that. Right? It's okay to say that and not then be called a ZANU-PF, this and that, and oh, you must be supporting the junta. No, motherfucker, I ain't supporting the junta. What I am saying is that I'm trying to use my energy in the right way, which is why I'm not making so many videos now. I'm trying to use my energy in a way that at least can benefit my constituency, the constituency that my children live in, where all my children's schools currently are located, bar one. I'm out here, Mount Pleasant constituency, trying to fight for our candidate to win that constituency so we can kick out the ZANU-PF troll who's been there for the last 6 years, sorry. Jason Pasadi is useless. That motherfucker, if you go through all the Hansard, he's never, ever, ever spoken once. He's attended parliament maybe 3 times in the last 6 years. You see, this is what we're doing. We're fighting so that we can win one constituency. And we need some of our other comrades to be doing the same thing. We need to be winning other constituencies. See, in our constituency, we're not even fighting MDC. We're fighting ZANU-PF. We don't have an MDC candidate where we are. We're fighting a ZANU-PF candidate. A useless ZANU-PF candidate. In Harare East, Linda K. Sibbs and them, they're fighting a ZANU-PF candidate. They're doubling down. You're meeting people in their homes. We need to bring out the vote and prove democracy. See, we want democracy, people. See, I don't worry about the 120 candidates for president. I don't worry about that because I understand the Constitution. You see, the Zimbabwean Constitution is very robust. It's very, very, very robust. You see, the Zimbabwean Constitution allows in fact, if there are 2 million people who are above 40 who can get signatures from all 10 provinces, then 2 million people should run for president. What then happens is, from those 2 million people who are running for president, the top 2 go for what we call a runoff. So in a sense, having all these candidates thinking that they are the best president, the Kosana Moyos and the Noah Manyikas and everybody else, all those people should run and run good, strong campaigns. Just like in America, we see it all the time. It starts off with Trump, Romney, fucking, crazy right-wing nuts like, that's the name, Governor Huckabee, all those motherfuckers. It goes through all that shit and eventually it whittles it down to 2 candidates. Generally speaking, it's 2 candidates and maybe a green. This is what's happening in Zimbabwe as well, ladies and gentlemen. We have a lot of these candidates and it's good for democracy to see the lunatics, to see the smart ones, to see the technocrats. You see, Kosana Moyo is a smart guy. He's a good technocrat and he's running for president. But on Twitter, he constantly calls the electorate clueless voters. You see, he thinks he's smarter than us. He thinks he's more important than us and he thinks people like him are better than us. So we punish him at the ballot box. We say, yeah, you and your prissy UN and World Bank jobs can go fuck yourselves. See, that's what we do. We'll listen to Noah Manyika. He'll give us his manifesto. The BZA have got an app. Go download the app and read the app and read what their policies are. Right? The fact that the app sucks is another thing. It sucks, yeah. Text is too small. It's not very entertaining. It doesn't have any game. I mean, it's just, the app sucks. It's not well thought out. But at least download the app. Download his manifesto. Read what Noah Manyika has to say. And then if you like him the first round, if you believe in him the first round, tell a couple of your friends and go in the ballot box and vote for him. Right? Vote for him. What will happen is he'll get his 10,000 votes, whatever, and he'll be excluded. They'll be like, you know what? You tried, you got 10,000 votes, move away. Finally speaking, we will have 2 candidates. And those 2 candidates will battle it out for the presidency of the country. I suspect that's going to be Nelson Chamisa and E.D. Mnangagwa. I suspect those are the 2 people that are going to battle it out in the final runoff. But I want the other process. See, I don't know if Noah Manyika pulls a hat out the bag and actually manages to get 2 million voters, then fuck, let him go into the runoff. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, if the election is free and fair, and if E.D. Mnangagwa or Nelson Chamisa get 50% plus 1, then they are the rightful rulers of Zimbabwe. Plain and simple. All this vote splitting shit is long. You see, some people may not like Chamisa straight away. They may like Manyika first. When Manyika gets dropped out of the competition, they now have a choice. Do they support E.D. Mnangagwa or do they support Chamisa? Some people may like Chamisa at first, but if he's dropped out before the runoff, they have now a choice. Do they go Kosana, Noah Manyika, Gustavo, whatever? You see, this is the way democracy works. Does Noah Manyika then eventually endorse Nelson Chamisa? Does NPF then endorse Nelson Chamisa instead of Mnangagwa? Does NPF split the vote for ZANU-PF? Because I know Maimjuru and NPF are going to split the vote for ZANU-PF. If there is such a thing as splitting the vote, ZANU-PF voters are going to vote for those 3 particular parties. ZANU-PF, they're going to vote for NPF, and they're going to vote for Maimjuru's People's Party, whatever. Those are the 3 people. They're fighting it out amongst themselves. MDC is fighting it out amongst themselves. There's the Alliance versus the Rainbow Alliance again. They're versus independent candidates like Fadzai Mahere. It's all going to be an opportunity for us to exercise our democratic right. And that's what we should all be focusing on right now. I want to see some of these activists stop whinging. Take some people to fucking body to register to vote, for God's sake. We've got a big deficit of young voters. We need more voters. Let's go and win arguments on the street and let's take people to the members to vote. That's what we should be doing. Not doing I told you so and screenshotting your old tweets. You fuckface. The tidget ass niggas. Look, I'm trying to bite my tongue. I'm trying to say anything. Anyway. I got a lot to say. The thing is, unfortunately, it didn't sound like I'm attacking my comrades, so I don't want to say that now. Does anybody want to join? Does anybody want to join the conversation before I go, before I disappear, before I bounce? Just click add if you want to join the conversation, and we can go forward. Bree, a lot of young people have registered to vote. A lot of young people, but I'm saying that we have an opportunity to register a bunch more. Because there's a lot of substations still open and we can still register people. And the thing is, it's like, there's a lot of, the thing is that the problem we have right now, is that we have a lot of very intellectual people who like to make arguments that even people like me don't understand. So for example, they'll keep screaming about percentages and electoral reform. Okay? They keep screaming about those kind of things. They're not willing to concede any of the reforms that have currently happened already. For example, they demanded that international observers be allowed to come in. Well, they are now, okay? What's the next reform you want? Well, there's too many military working in ZEC. The ZEC chairman came and said, okay, look, there's this many people who work. These are the names of the ex-military. Here's the roles that they're playing. Okay, so that's been answered, right? Are you happy? Are you unhappy? What exactly do you want? Because remember, ZEC is not something that ZANU-PF came up with. ZEC is something that came up in the GNU under MDC. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget that. So let's stop whinging. Let's start working towards a better Zim. We've got an election coming up. Let's stop fucking up. Anyone want to talk? Anyone want to talk? I'm trying to add the people who said they want to talk. If I'm adding you, please just answer and then we can keep it moving. King Chris, I tried to add you, you didn't answer. So I moved on. Kuda, we no longer need rulers, we need leaders. Well, semantics. He who wins rules, my guy. End of story. Toro, what up, man? Okay, I've tried to add 3 people. They're not answering. I'll add 1 more person. If they fail, then I'm adding Chris, and then I'll round it. Chris didn't answer again. Anyone else want to be added before I go, ladies and gentlemen? I think we've spoken enough. I think we've spoken enough. Before I sum up. All right, cool. So let me sum up. No one wants to be added. Let me sum up. Okay, Farai Mvuti wants me to add him. Let me add him. It's always good to have other people's voices.
Hey.
Mr. Farai Mvuti, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
ZANU PF in the house.
yeah. I do, my brother.
Talk to me, man. You're ZANU PF. How did you feel about seeing your a man that you used to love, Robert Mugabe, my guy? You used to love him with all your heart and soul. How did you feel seeing him so decrepit?
No, I think we should make the distinction of loving the person rather than the principled institution that he represented. You know, it was not the personality.
Semantics.
It was the institution.
Go ahead.
But that aside, anyway, I don't think there's much attention to be paid. I think he's the one who voiced his opinion, and that's well and good. We have an election. The institution of ZANU PF is moving forward, and that's what matters. But another thing that I wanted to add on to a fact that you were pointing out, especially when it comes to ZEC, which is, by the way, a construct, like you said, like you rightly stated, by the MDC, a bipartisan construct at that. I think we have to move beyond this, politicking and looking at substantive issues as a people. I mean, how long will we be polarized by politics? And rather start looking into the issues that, connect us. Going beyond party politics. You know, if our government is already in a transformative mode, surely the electorate should be too. Which means even the opposition, in its approach to our politics. Now, if our opposition, which is very fundamental in order to retain the democratic infrastructure, the democratic capital that we're trying to generate and trying to spread across to the world, that we're open for business, we're ready to be engaged as a country, we're forming a new identity. The opposition has a critical part to play in this, in terms of the type of politics that they relay. Now, if the politics is always politicking on the periphery of lack of substance, but rather issues that any statehood that is in its developmental stage has to go through, then we're still dealing with a very immature democracy. And I fear
then we're doomed.
I fear that as young voters, if we do not make a critical stamp in the realization of what kind of expectations do we have for the country we want to form and how we get there, we will be doomed. So we have a moment. We have a moment to cite. We have a moment to get engaged in our country's politics in a substantive way by asking substantive questions. What is this new dispensation? What is this Zimbabwe? And what role do we play, diaspora and local? You know. So for me, I guess my input, which is very humble input, is that in this election, I hope we focus not on birth certificates, but on substantive policy issues that are transformative and that also speak directly to our conditions as a people.
No, I agree with you 100%. And I feel that we need to be at a mature place enough as young Zimbabweans not to constantly, like you and I talk quite a lot, and we don't agree on everything, but we always discover that there's a lot more that we agree on.
We find each other.
Okay.
We find each other.
We find each other somewhere along the lines. And this is my call to the young people of Zimbabwe right now. We need to find each other. We need to be able to find each other from the different, because sometimes the reasons why Farai is a ZANU PF member, I now understand what it is. First of all, it's a heritage thing. So your father, obviously, there's a lot of things about the land and about your African pride and about and Afrocentricness, which ZANU PF tends to now own more per se than sometimes the opposition does. And I think if no one in the opposition has decided to speak to that side of you, then you have to stay where you are. You understand what I'm saying? And the thing is, I used to be in your position because I was overseas. And in those days, I was searching for my identity as a Zimbabwean. You know, I grew up in Australia. I came to Zimbabwe for 6 years. Then I left again. I was in the UK. Then I was in New York. You know, so I also gravitated towards ZANU PF because they spoke that Afrocentric nationalism that I used to hear from the 5%ers and so forth. So now, so when I got back home, it's after a while of being back home that I discovered that they don't own them. They don't have the moratorium on Afrocentricness. The way I saw them living in their several suits, driving around foreign cars and being rapid in foreign hospitals, I saw that the ZANU PF guys that I used to look up to were hypocrites, and that's why I left them. You understand what I'm saying? So, but I still get the fact that there's still those who see those in the same way that I used to see those. But we're now coming up to an election. We have an opportunity as a young people to say, who do we want to lead us for the next 5 years? And we have to remember one thing. You got a daughter, I got a daughter, and I'll tell you this much.
Yeah.
My eldest daughter will be 20 in 5 years' time.
Yeah.
And she'll be in university. Am I voting in a leader who's going to make sure that when she finishes the A-level, she wants to stay in Zimbabwe and study? Or are we voting in leaders who are going to force my daughter to leave and then be distant from me? You know, the Hongirozi video analogy of our children being sent away so far away from us, just like we were sent away from our parents. Yeah. You know, so we have an opportunity right now. Now, I'm fed up of the complaining by all these people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of complaining happening and not enough groundwork being done. They don't want to step up. They don't want to run for office. They don't want to. All they want to do is bootlick and moan and whinge. And that's what I'm saying is killing the oppositional structures.
Yeah.
And I want to see. And the thing is, even the people who are attacking Chamisa, you know what? At least he's trying. At least he's galvanizing his supporters. And you've always said to me, you want a formidable opposition so that you can also keep your own people in check. It makes for a much better country
it makes a lot of
when
sense.
we have opposition.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Like if you are in any field, be it music or business, a lack of competition creates complacency. It's a natural rule of law. But when we have a formidable opposition, it takes away our complacency on our side. And really, I want this discussion to go beyond partisan representation, but really to look into the nature of our social demographic when it comes to our tolerance, be it in political discourse. Now, a political discourse that is not filtered through critical thought, a sense of history, a sense of a history viewing it from a perspective of in the present and also in the future. What kind of country we would like to build, irrespective of partisan affiliations. We have to have a sense of tolerance. Now, to have the sense of tolerance, we have to raise the bar in terms of our political discourse, in terms of our political interactions. That's why you and I can talk and speak for hours. And even though we disagree in multiple issues, we still find common ground. It is the lack of to us it's mundane. But imagine if it's spread across the country. Imagine if we could actually have an intellectual discourse. Because right now, I read an article recently. It was asking a question, where are the public intellectuals in our country? You know, where are the academics? What is their view in terms of a government infrastructure? If you look at the development of even Britain or America or Singapore, there were academics who are making recommendations to government. We have so often looked at government to be the arbiter of our progress. We have a stake too. You know, and that's what I'd like to see. The election, we should not, we have stayed in electioning campaign mode for too long as a country. This election should be a moment of citation that creates a line because we have matured politically due to our experiences. Surely we have gone through years of suffering, denigration, dilapidation of infrastructure. It should infuse in us a sense of enthusiasm of being progressive and transformative, especially amongst each other. Because why go through this in the first place, and why continue complaining? Like, you know, you can't sit in the dark all the time and just complain. We light a match, and this is our moment to light a match as a country, I think.
On that note, my brother, I think it's a very good place to end. We need to light a match. Well said,
Thanks, my brother, for having me. Power to you.
Have a good day, Jim. Peace and love. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me. We've dissected the issues. Let me just sum up real quick. You know, we saw Mugabe's interview yesterday. I feel that Mugabe has no right to talk about constitutionalism. I don't think anybody should be defending the constitutionalism of Mugabe. I don't think Mugabe ever cared about the things that he and his government did to people in Zimbabwe. He doesn't care about the suffering, and I think there's a delusional old man who should not be given a platform on the same platforms that he used to ban in this country. We are now in a position where the MDC is energized. It's got a strong young leader who's energetic, who's charismatic. ZANU-PF right now is energized because it's lost the 94. See, I don't even think they're energized because of Emerson Mnangagwa. I think they're energized because they've lost Mugabe, who was holding them back. They are now in a situation where they feel like they're fighting the good fight. They feel like they're ushering in a new dispensation. They've got a lot of confidence in them right now.
right? We've got a lot of young, strong, independent candidates who are coming up the ranks, who are challenging some of the status quo, bringing new politics. And I'm I'm always going to shout out Fadzaima Mount Pleasant constituents. She's all whipping us into line. We have to be disability inclusive, ramps to the office, braille translations, audio translations for manifestos. We have to start behaving like a government that wants to be in the future, even if we're on a small macro level right now. And because of the conversation she keeps forcing us to have amongst ourselves, as inconvenient as that conversation is, she's making us think the bigger picture at all given times. So those kind of people. You got people like Kosana Moyo, people like Noah Manika. You got 120 candidates to choose from. Interrogate, speak about, read up on them, download their apps, download their manifestos. Then we'll go into an election. And that election, the first part of that election can be considered a primary. And in that primary, that's when we separate the strong from the weak. They'll separate the cream from the other stuff. From that runoff, we get a runoff. And that runoff will be two people who are going to have to be up against each other, constitutionally speaking. And I see that being ED versus Chamisa. It's our goal then as people. When we're now at that stage and there's a runoff, we all campaign to remove 37 years of rot, 37 years of misgovernance, 38 years of bad governance and brutality. We have that opportunity. Right now, let's campaign. Let's work hard to build a better Zimbabwe, guys. Let's ignore the Goblin. He's trying to come into our conversation. He's got the constitutional rights to speak, the same constitutional rights he didn't give us. Let him talk. Fuck him. We got work to do. God bless you. This is tea time. We're working hard. Expect us.